If there was one thing Banjoko family took seriously, apart from school fees and electricity bills, it was definitely Sunday dinner. Mrs. Remy Banjoko started the tradition years ago when she noticed that everybody in the house was slowly becoming a tenant. Her husband left early for work. Dayo was always busy with one spreadsheet or another. Lara could spend 3 hours inside her room and still claim she had been coming downstairs, while Toby only appeared when his nose informed him that meat had entered. So Remy made one rule: no matter what happened during the week, everybody must eat together on Sunday evenings. Even Auntie Kemi, Mr. Banjoko's younger sister, had joined the tradition since she moved into their guest room 3 months earlier. Her small catering supply business had run into serious debt, and her brother had allowed her to stay with them until she could get herself together. Sunday dinner in that house was never peaceful. That particular evening, Remy brought out a large bowl of rice and placed it in the middle of the table. Before she could turn around, Toby stretched his hand towards the fried chicken. Toby! His hand froze. Mommy, I was only checking whether it was hot. With your fingers, eh? How else will I know now? Lara looked at him. Try it again and I will knock your forehead. Everybody laughed, except Toby. Mr. Banjoko sat at the head of the table, with his bottle of malt beside him. Please, oh, nobody should touch this malt. I don't write my name for the bottle. Dayo looked up. Daddy, nobody wants your malt. Enjoy. That is what you people say now. When I turn to the left now, somebody will grab it and drink half. Ha, Daddy, who drank it the last time? Mr. Banjoko looked around suspiciously. That investigation is still ongoing. And Toby quietly looked away. Remy returned with the stew. Dayo tasted a little and frowned. Mommy, where is the pepper now? There is pepper inside the stew. Dayo shook his head. Mommy, this one is tomato with ambition. There is no pepper now. Eh, oh yeah now, you will start cooking your own Sunday food by yourself. Auntie Kemi laughed. Leave him. His mouth has refused to fear God. Dayo had always loved pepper because nobody else in the house could tolerate his level of suffering. Remy kept a small jar of extra pepper sauce in the refrigerator, specially for him. Kemi stood up. I will bring your fire for you. No worry. She returned with the jar and placed it beside him. Dayo smiled. At least somebody understands me. Remy started setting the plates properly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then she went into the kitchen to bring the serving spoons. When she returned, she stopped. There were only 5 plates. Remy frowned. Who carried one plate from this place now? Nobody answered. She looked around the table. I put 6 plates here. Who took one? Toby was already chewing the chicken he stole. Everybody turned towards him. Then he stopped chewing and said, why are all of you looking at me now? Lara looked at him specially. Because you are the resident criminal. Everybody knows. It's no longer a secret. Agreed. I only steal meat, not plates. Please, everybody should respect their department. Everybody laughed, and Remy said, but seriously, where is the plate? They checked the chairs and the sideboard until Lara bent down and said, here it is. The plate was underneath the dining cabinet. Remy frowned. How did it enter there? Mr. Banjoko said, maybe somebody knocked it down. With what? My dear, I was just sitting down here. I did not conduct forensic investigation. Leave me alone. Toby raised one hand. I have an announcement. Since one plate has resigned, its chicken should also be shared equally. Touch that chicken and you will join the plate under the cabinet. Yeah, boy. Remy fired back. Dinner continued. By Monday, everybody had forgotten all about it. Then the following Sunday, the same family gathered again. This time, Remy made chicken stew with fried plantains. She arranged 6 plates. and went into the kitchen to bring water. When she returned, she stopped again. Uh-uh, 5 plates. Her smile disappeared. Not again now. Mr. Banjoko looked up. What? 1 plate is missing again. Toby immediately lifted both hands. I haven't done anything, no. Nobody had even accused him. They searched everywhere, nothing. Then Auntie Kemi entered the kitchen and called out, Remy! Everybody went there, and the missing plate was sitting right inside the sink. Remy stared at it. No way. That plate was not there. Kemi shrugged. Maybe you left it here and forgot now. I washed this sink before setting that table, so there's no way this plate will be here. Mr. Banjoko picked up the plate. Well, maybe somebody brought it here and forgot. But who? He looked at the other 5 people. That is the problem with this house. 6 people live here, but if one bottle of Coke finishes, everybody suddenly develops amnesia. Lara laughed. Toby nodded and said, Exactly. We need CCTV. Mr. Banjoko looked at him, especially around the refrigerator. Everybody laughed, but only Remy remained quiet because she knew she had 6 plates on that table, and somehow one of them had moved. By the third Sunday, Remy had decided that nobody would confuse her again. She waited until everybody was seated before setting the table. Everybody look, oh, Mr. Banjoko sighed. Remy, please. No, 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 I'm serious. Look. She placed the plates down one after the other. 1, 2, up until 6. Toby nodded. Confirmed, mommy. Thank you. I charge consultancy fee, Shao. She ignored him and went into the kitchen for the stew. She was gone for less than 30 seconds. But when she returned, she stopped. 5 plates again. Uh-uh. This time around, nobody was laughing. Remy counted. Where is the 6th one? Then Lara noticed. Wait, oh, it's Dayo's plate that is missing, oh. Everybody looked at Dayo. Dayo looked at the empty space in front of himself. Toby leaned back and burst out laughing. Brother Dayo, even plate has rejected you. Now, wow. Dayo pointed at Toby and said, If I stand up from here, you will regret being the last born. You see, maybe the plate left because of your yeye temper. So they started searching everywhere, oh, and eventually, Lara pulled the curtain to one side, and there was the plate standing upright beside it. Now, even Dayo stopped smiling. How exactly did that plate get there? Mr. Banjoko examined the window. It was closed. Toby cleared his throat and said, maybe the plate wanted some fresh air. Toby, keep quiet for once. Remy shunned him. For the first time, her voice was very serious. The following Sunday, Remy was ready. She deliberately seated Dayo beside his father instead of his usual place, Dayo complained immediately. Why am I sitting here? Because I want to know whether the problem is that your chair or whether the problem is backed up spiritually. Toby nodded. Mommy, you are doing scientific research. Mr. Banjoko looked tired already. Can we please eat food like normal human beings? I'm very hungry. Oh. Remy placed a plate in front of Dayo. Nobody moved. Nothing happened. She relaxed slightly and went to collect the soup. When she returned, Dayo's plate was gone. Hey! Mr. Banjoko slowly lowered his phone. Lara whispered, maybe he changed seats. They later found the plate on a chair near the staircase. Remy brought another plate. Oh yeah, use this one. Dayo laughed nervously. Maybe I should just eat from the pot, ne? Sit down there. He did. Remy placed the rice on the replacement plate. Dayo reached for his pepper sauce. Before his fingers touched the jar, the plate moved. It wasn't a small shake, It slid across the polished table by itself. Everybody was watching it. It was like Nollywood. And before they knew it, the plate reached the edge and crashed onto the floor. Jesus. Remy screamed. Toby jumped backwards. Mr. Banjoko stood up immediately. Nobody had touched that table. And yet, the plate slid to the edge and fell by itself. Ha! This one don't pass laughing matter oh. Dayo stared at the broken pieces. Then he looked at his family. Hey, e be like this thing they follow me from village. And that was when the matter grew wings. By Monday morning, Remy had already called one of her sisters. She was a prayer woman and a church friend. Mr. Banjoko had to stop her because he said, we are not turning this house into a prayer mountain because of ordinary plates. Remy stared at him. Ordinary plates. Are you even listening to yourself? A plate moved by itself, right in front of you. I saw it. So what exactly are you waiting for? For spoon to slap you? Mr. Banjoko bought two indoor cameras that same afternoon. One faced the dining room and the other covered the passage leading to the kitchen. By Sunday, Toby had taken this investigation very personally. He arrived at the dinner carrying a small notebook. Lara looked at him. What is that? Evidence book. I am Chief Plate Security Officer. Dayo laughed. Who appointed you? I appointed myself because this family lacks leadership. Even Mr. Banjoko laughed. For the first time in 2 weeks, dinner felt normal again. Remy brought out the food and nobody was allowed to leave the dining area once the plates were set. Dayo's special pepper sauce was already on the table. 6 people sat down and 6 plates remained. 5 minutes passed, nothing happened. 10 minutes, nothing. Toby made a mark inside his notebook. Suspect is afraid of CCTV. Then, as Dayo reached for his pepper sauce, his plate shot across the table. It happened so violently that everybody screamed. The plate flew off the edge and smashed against the wall. The lights went off. Jesus. Toby, stay there. Mommy, I'm here. Then something brushed underneath the table. Lara screamed and pulled both legs onto her chair. Toby climbed onto his own chair completely. Something just touched me now. Dayo switched on his phone touch, and Mr. Banjoko bent down and shone another light under the table. Nothing. There was no rat, there was no cat. Nothing that could have moved that plate. Then suddenly electricity returned, and rice and stew were scattered across the floor. Dayo started to bend down. Don't touch it, his father said. Mr. Banjoko had noticed something. The small jar of pepper sauce had tipped over during the confusion, and some had spilled beside Dayo's food. He stared at it, then at the broken plate, then at his son. Dayo, have you been feeling strange recently? Dayo frowned. What do you mean? I mean, dizzy or sleepy. Dayo hesitated, thought for a while, and then said, actually, yeah. Remy turned sharply. What? For some weeks now, especially on Sunday nights, sometimes Monday morning too. I thought it was just work, stress. Mr. Banjoko's face changed. Uh-uh. Dayo continued. Sometimes I wake up and my head feels heavy. Like last Monday, I even forgot a conversation I had with Daddy at the office. Nobody said anything. Mr. Banjoko collected some of the spilled food and pepper sauce separately into clean containers. He had a doctor friend who helped arrange lab tests. So they did a lab test for them the following morning, and the results came back on Tuesday. Mr. Banjoko read it twice. Then he called everybody into the sitting room. Remy saw his face and asked, what happened? He placed the paper on the center table. There is a strong sedative in this pepper sauce. Dayo stared at him. What? The amount they found could make somebody extremely drowsy and confused. And if the dose keeps increasing, it can become very dangerous. Hey! Remy sat down slowly before she falls. Lara covered her mouth. Even Toby had nothing funny to say. Then Dayo remembered. Every Sunday, his plate kept disappearing, even to the point of sliding away just as he reached for the sauce. He looked towards the dining room. All this time, they weren't sure what was actually going on, but whatever was moving those plates was trying to save him. Now, this matter is very, very serious. because there was just 6 of them in that house. So who exactly is drugging Dayo? Mr. Banjoko didn't call the police immediately because first he wanted to know exactly where that sedative had come in from in the first place. The lab had found it in Dayo's pepper sauce, but not in the main stew. That narrowed things down badly. Dayo was the only person who used that sauce. Remy usually prepared it, yes, but during Sunday dinners, there was one person who almost always brought it from the refrigerator. Everybody looked at Kemi. Yeah? She opened her mouth. Why are all of you looking at me? Remy asked her quietly. Kemi, have you ever put anything inside Dayo's pepper? No. Dayo watched her. Auntie Kemi, I said no. Then Mr. Banjoko asked, have you ever put medicine inside it? Kemi stopped, and that tiny pause was enough. Ah, Remy stood up. Kemi. Kemi's eyes filled with fear. It's not what you people think. Dayo pushed his chair backwards. Auntie Kemi, it's not what we think. How? Make it make sense to me. What exactly did you put in my food? At that point, Kemi started crying. She admitted that for several weeks, she had been crushing tablets into his pepper sauce. Remy shouted, Hey! You've been doing what? Kemi immediately tried to explain. I can explain, please, it's not what you think. A businessman called Mr. Afoloyan, one of her brother's long-time associates, had given her the tablets. Because you see, Kemi owed Afoloyan a large amount of money after he helped her when her business collapsed. He knew she was staying with the Banjokos and knew that she regularly helped Remy around the kitchen, naturally. Now, he had told her that Dayo was under severe work pressure and needed something to make him relax and sleep. Can you imagine? According to him, Dayo was too stubborn to take anything by himself. Are you kidding me? Dayo stared at her in disbelief. And that made sense to you? Auntie Kemi, are you a baby? Kemi cried harder. He told me he was mild. I had no idea. Auntie, you secretly put tablets in my food and you didn't think it was bad. I did not know it could harm you, Dayo. I swear. That is not the point. Mr. Banjoko was even angrier. Why did you not ask me before collecting something from that man and putting in my son's food? Kemi could not answer because apparently there was another part she was hiding. Afoloyan had promised to cancel a large part of the money she owed him if she helped. Oh boy. Remy looked at her sister-in-law as if she could no longer recognize her. So you collected debt discounts and started putting medicine inside my son's food. Kemi shook her head desperately. I swear, auntie. I thought it was only going to make him sleep. I swear. Dayo laughed bitterly. Hey, that is supposed to make it any better. Are you even listening to yourself? You were drugging me and you thought it was supposed to make me sleep. Does that make it any better? It didn't take long for Mr. Banjoko to understand why Afoloyan wanted Dayo constantly tired. You see, Dayo had recently started helping his father review the company's accounts. 3 weeks earlier, he had noticed payments going repeatedly to 2 suppliers he could not properly verify. He had mentioned it to his father, and Afoloyan had been in the office that day. And shortly afterwards, something strange had started happening. Whenever Dayo raised questions about the account, Afoloyan would casually mention how overworked he looked. Once, after Dayo forgot part of a conversation, because he had woken up heavily sedated, Afoloyan laughed and told Mr. Banjoko, your son needs rest though, before he starts seeing figures that are not there. At that time, everybody laughed now. But now, nobody found it funny because now they understand. So, as regards to this, Mr. Banjoko had to bring in an independent accountant, and the figures were checked properly. And Dayo was not imagining things. For almost 2 good years, Afolayan had been approving inflated invoices and moving company money through businesses connected to him. Dayo was getting dangerously close to finding out. So Afolayan had been creating exactly what he needed. A confused young man who could easily be dismissed as exhausted and unreliable, while he bought himself enough time to alter records and cover his tracks. Kemi had helped him do it. Whether she understood the full plan or not, Remy did not care, and she shouldn't. That evening, she entered Kemi's room. Kemi, pack your things. Kemi looked up. Hell, Remy, please now. Ejo. No, 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 no. Don't do that. Don't try to beg me before I call the police on you. Remy, I beg. I made a terrible mistake. Ha! You call this a mistake? You secretly put something inside my child's food for weeks. That is not a mistake. That is just wickedness. Kemi started crying again. Remy's own eyes filled with tears, but she remained firm. I can forgive many things, oh, but I cannot sleep in the same house with somebody who did that and then pretended that everything is normal. God forbid. Kemi looked towards her brother for some sort of mercy, but Mr. Banjoko looked at her and told her, Kemi, you need to leave. Yeah? By evening, Kemi carried her bags out of the house. But it didn't even make them feel better. Nobody celebrated. Dayo especially did not even feel victorious. He simply watched from the window as the car carrying his aunt disappeared down the road. Sometimes betrayal was painful precisely because it came from somebody you still loved. Mr. Banjoko did not handle Afoloyan as a family matter. No, he handed everything to the police. The lab reports, Kemi's statements, the tablets she still had, Dayo's account of what had been happening, and the financial records. Everything went with it. And once the investigators started digging, the problem became much bigger than anybody expected. The fake suppliers were traced back to Afoloyan, as expected. More transactions even surfaced. Other company records were recovered. He was arrested and eventually prosecuted for the financial fraud and his role in secretly drugging Dayo. The friendship between him and Mr. Banjoko ended exactly where it belonged, inside an investigation file. But one question remained. Who or what had been moving these plates? One afternoon, Mr. Banjoko mentioned the strange incidents to their elderly landlord, Baba Fashola. The old man became unusually quiet. Ah, you said it was always your son's plate? Yes. And somebody was putting something inside his food? Mr. Banjoko nodded. Yes. Baba Fashola sat down and remembered something that had happened years ago. You see, long before the Banjokos rented that duplex, another family used to live there, and their eldest son had suddenly started falling ill from nowhere. He became sleepy after meals. He became confused about money and started forgetting conversations. Everybody thought he was sick, but by the time they discovered that somebody close to him had been secretly drugging him while stealing from him, it was already too late. And guess what? The young man died. Mr. Banjoko stared at the old landlord. Yeah? Are you serious? Where did he normally sit in that house? Mubafa Shola told him that it was in the dining room, the same side where Dayo used to sit. Mr. Banjoko felt cold rush through his veins. Like, can you imagine? So wait oh, Oga landlord, are you saying that it was the dead guy that was moving the plates? The old man shook his head. I'm not saying anything. I'm only telling you what happened in that house. Omo, that mystery was a lot to handle. Like, they found it very difficult to believe that a dead guy that suffered the same thing that Dayo almost suffered was the one preventing Dayo from, going through the same fate as him. So the following Sunday, Remy cooked dinner again, and for the first time in weeks, nobody wanted to be the first person at the dining table. Toby eventually entered and looked around. Everybody should come now. If anything happens, at least all of us will run away together, Abby. Lara laughed. You are the chief plate security officer. No, I have resigned though. The position has no health insurance. Even Dayo laughed. Remy arranged the plates. One, two, three, four, five. There were only five of them now. For a moment, everybody noticed the empty space Kemi used to occupy. Remy said nothing. She just served the food. Toby pointed sternly at Dayo's plate. Listen carefully. The criminal has been arrested. Nobody should start flying around today, oh. Toby. I'm talking to the plate, mommy. Allow me. Mr. Banjoko laughed so hard he nearly spilled his water. And dinner went peacefully. No plates moved. No lights went off. Nothing crawled beneath the table. And slowly the family relaxed. Toby even stole one piece of chicken from Lara, and she slapped his hand. So after everything that happened, you still have not changed. He chewed it quickly. Trauma makes people hungry, you don't know. When they finished eating, Remy started clearing the table. Then Dayo stopped. Mommy. Something in his voice made everybody turn. At the far end of the dining table was an old white plate. Nobody had placed it there. It was not even part of Remy's dinner set. The surface was faded, and a thin brown line ran around its edge. Ah. Toby slowly put down the toothpick in his hand. Daddy! Ah! Mr. Banjoko stood up, and the lights flickered. Darkness covered the room for barely a second, and when the light returned, the old plate was gone. Nobody said anything. Toby quietly picked up the little rice remaining on his plate and started walking towards the sitting room. Remy stared at him. Where are you going? He didn't even turn. He said, Mommy, from today, television dinner is perfectly acceptable. I am not staying in these two people's dining room again. I am done. Lara burst out laughing. And even Remy could not help herself. Dayo looked once more at the empty end of the table. He didn't know who had moved those plates. He didn't know whether the young man who died in that house many years ago had somehow recognized what was happening to him. Maybe there were things they would never be able to explain. But one thing was certain. His life had been saved by a spiritual force they know nothing about. And sometimes, the strangest warning could come from someone who once wished somebody had warned him too. The end. And with that, my paddies, we've come to the end of today's story. Did you learn something today? Did you enjoy today's story? If you did, kindly give this video a thumbs up and share it to everybody that you know. Okay? Subscribe if you're new here, and I promise you this will be your favorite channel on YouTube because your paddy is always ready to deliver. Thank you all for your support, and until I bring another story your way. Ngwano. Bye.